All right, and we're live. We're here with Dan from CoUnity and our special guest, Andros, co-founder of Wonderverse, a community platform that's doing all kinds of cool stuff. This is our Web3 product demo showcase where we talk to founders. We take a deep dive into their product. We learn about really cool stuff. So Dan is part of the Jump crew, CEO over at CoUnity. And then Andros, why don't you introduce yourself? Maybe give us a quick overview of Wonderverse, and then we're actually going to pull up some slides and we're going to like really talk about this product. This is not just going to be a podcast style interview. We're actually going to get in the weeds and we're going to learn some cool stuff and see what next gen products look like for building community. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you to introduce yourself.
Amazing. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate the time. I'm Andros. I'm one of the co-founders of Wonderverse, and our mission statement at Wonderverse is essentially we believe that in the future it's going to be very easy for anyone to create a project, go from this 0 to 1 phase, but brand, distribution, culture is going to be increasingly hard to create. And that's exactly the business that we're in, helping projects grow in a sustainable, successful way. And one of the products that we've kind of built is this community co-pilot. And what that means is we help companies like Polygon, ZK Sync, Consensus, etc., build these customized member journeys, all within community platforms like Discord and Telegram. So from the onboarding to quests to loyalty programs, ambassador programs, referral programs, etc., doing all of that within Discord, so members don't need to sign up to yet another thing. They kind of just exist within the community platform. They sort of engage, they earn points, and they can basically redeem these points for Web3 rewards like tokens, NFTs, or they can be non-Web3 rewards as well, like Discord roles, merchandise, in-game items as well. And we've essentially found that this doubles customer engagement across all our customers at least, and for some cases even higher. And that's one of the projects that we're working on right now. And we also have another upcoming product called Drops that we'll be releasing with select partners that we will talk a little bit about later as well.
Cool. Yeah. So the first couple of slides and deck that we're going to pull up are going to focus on the core offering, the core product. And then we're basically going to look at a pitch deck that you sent to Mr. Beast. Is that right?
That's right.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. So yeah, let's get into it. One other housekeeping item. This will go, we've got about 25 minutes. So this is going to be super fast. We're going to really dive into the product. And then afterwards, if you're a Jump community member, Sky Club NFT holder, we're going to jump into Discord for a little networking session, group hang, get to know each other, build community. So hang around for the next 30 minutes if you're in the community. If not, enjoy this product demo. So let's just jump right into it. I am controlling the slides. So if you want to sort of give me either a hand cue or maybe a head bang to go to the next slide, we can do that. And let's kick it off. Take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of how we think about sort of growth and marketing and sort of building with your customers, obviously within Web3, there's the advent of DAOs, and almost every Web3 company, they talk about community, whether or not you're an NFT project, DeFi project, meme coin, whatever, it's all about creating this cult, right? And as we're getting slightly more and more tired of like influencer marketing, obviously it's still a huge sector and it's still very valuable. I think people, especially like Gen Z, are looking for more like quote unquote authenticity, and they find spaces like Discord. Discord is like the quickest growing social network, and they find safe spaces within their community, and you're able to basically, sorry, if we can go to the next slide. If you have like a very engaged community where they feel a sense of belonging, if you think about Maslow's hierarchy as well, basic needs, safety, water, and then it's like community. A lot of what we want to drive is like, how do you give people that sense of direction? How do you like create mission alignment within your members? And then from then on, driving to business outcomes, right? Because, if you're a company and you're building sort of community, then you want to ultimately drive, to help your business thrive. If you think about like Notion's community, for example, that's a lot of, why they believe they won is creating this idea of like people sharing templates, people being really involved, people becoming Notion experts, and Notion itself really like, basically like asking for advice, building with their community members, like high value community members. And so, building this kind of high touch, closed community is important for, I think, the next stage of how businesses will grow. And so if we go to the next slide,
A
but
lot.
sorry.
I just want to pause right there. I mean, the Maslow's hierarchy is so important to sort of touch on, especially as, I think that a lot of people in the world are looking to brands for community in this new era that we live in. And yet, brands, this is not a role that brands have had to play in society, but I do
Yeah.
agree that it's actually becoming a requirement. I think customers are actually demanding that they have a few brands in their life that where they connect with community. I don't know what that number is. It feels like one or two brands in every single person's life is likely going to be a strong source of community. Maybe there's one professional and one passion community, but taking that strategic layer and then actually putting it into tangible community member user journeys that actually take somebody from point A to point B, that's the tech that you're building, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we can even think about it for, as you mentioned, let's say like drawing examples for professional and then for maybe like leisure. Obviously, you have, I guess, for professional, let's say like I'm part of YC or I'm part of this like entrepreneur club, or I'm a Teal fellow. Those are examples of community. Obviously, a lot of that is, in IRL. But then even if we go to just like brands, obviously you have on TikTok, you see like the Stanley Cup cult, like people who just love this like water bottle, or it's people who just love CrossFit or Soul Cycle, it becomes part of their lives. And so, I totally agree. Like brands do need to form this identity of like who are the people who we serve and how do we, not just bring them to us in terms of like have a relationship with them, but how do they have a relationship with each other? And that's a lot of what we're trying to do in our products is like curate the space of like, hey, you can obviously engage and get some of these sort of benefits, some rewards, but also making the space that they live in, whether or not it's digital or IRL, more exciting. And so, but obviously, like this is a very vague problem. Community and brand and culture is very vague, and often it's like you don't even know it until you see it. So, how do we even construct these things? And so, what we did is kind of we looked at some common pitfalls, right? Of like, oh, why is this community not working? Like, I'm in at least, actually, I'm always at the limit of Discord. So I'm in like 200 servers, and some servers are super busy. Like they just like are popping off 24/7. Some of them are dead silent. Like why? Um, and so I think a lot of it comes from like, okay, there's no direction for this community. Like we don't know what this is about, and the members don't even know what this community is about. So not defining the community vision, and then maybe they do have a vision, but it's like, okay, I've joined. What do I do? And often there is like no onboarding. There's no way for the community member to like engage and join, apart from maybe like post a GM, which we love the GMs, but it's oftentimes not enough. And then, what are the tooling that will like sort of reward people for like, hey, I'm like an OG member, or like I do a lot with this community for this community. Like, how am I getting rewarded? And it doesn't always have to be obviously financial, but it's like, hey, I should get some recognition, right? And then obviously just expecting things to, you go from 0 to like 10,000 members all of a sudden. And so we go to the next slide.
Always love one line in the marketing world: sales overnight, brand over time. Community is
Love
definitely
that.
community definitely falls in the takes a little bit more time, but we do live in this crazy world where community can form really quickly when something enters sort of the zeitgeist. So, but being prepared to capture those moments is there's you got to do a lot of preparation if you're going to capture those like sparks. So, side tangent. Let's continue.
Totally agree. And a lot of what we do then is basically trying to help capture some of the momentum when people enter the zeitgeist. Let's say like you suddenly get loads of Twitter followers from, maybe it's an announcement, maybe it's some drop that you're announcing. Like, how do you then capture that? So for us, it goes from, there's a lot of platforms out there which are just for like one-off campaigns. Um, but what we are concerned with is kind of from the get-go, someone joins your community server, they need to immediately A, be educated, and B, be obviously like onboarded to be like, hey, this is our mission statement, and then this is how you like sort of basically keep updated and also get rewarded, engage, etc. And so from the beginning, like end to end, we do the onboarding, and then we create consistent engagements for people to be like, hey, I like coming back to this server because there are things to do. I get rewarded. There are like fun events that I can join. And so that's how what we do is kind of creating this community arcade is what we like to call it. So you onboard, you start doing these quests, you earn points, and then it's kind of like an arcade where you can then redeem the points for whatever reward it might be. It could be like merchandise, it could be this NFT that says I'm like an OG, it can be, obviously cash tokens, discounts, things like that. And then on the sort of analytics side, we want to help community managers and companies identify what's most effective. So, is the fact that when we reward merch, that's really effective, or is it when we do like the NFT drop, people really like that? And so helping them identify like, oh, these are the type of things that our members really like. How do we, go harder in on those things? So if we go to the next
I
slide.
really love how your platform connects the strategy to the tactical. Super cool.
Thank you. Uh, yeah, and so our mission is kind of try to make the world a better place through this like kind of community building. So we go to the next slide as well. Yeah, so these are just like an example of all the different things that we do. So from launching community quests to giving out rewards, having analytics, having this store. And then for our enterprise customers, usually there is some sort of consulting. The whole point of like an enterprise plan is that it kind of verges more into being a service. So we build like very custom integrations. We build like custom sort of things for people to track within a game, or with APIN, which is like one of our biggest gaming customers. We basically track the levels which a user reaches within a game. So let's say they defeat a boss or they reach a particular level, they get points, they get Discord roles, which they can then redeem sort of like Discord rewards, or rewards on Discord. And these are like in-game items, these are like NFTs, whatever it might be. Yeah, so our whole thing is kind of like creating this community member journey. And so if we go to the next slide, let's see what else. And so a lot of what we do as well that I forgot to mention is making sure, and this is a bigger and bigger problem in Web3, so I want to properly address it. There are lots of bots that go into servers, and obviously a lots of bots that spam platforms as well, sort of like different types of questing platforms. We've kind of created a way to prevent that. A lot of that is through the onboarding process. So creating a multi-step onboarding process. This is what we've done with like ZK Sync and Polygon, is kind of like having people answer questions, they have to get it right. Having people like connect their Twitter, and then basically having them go through like multiple things so that by the time that they earn the Discord role, which grants them access to the rest of the server, you kind of know that this is a real person. And also it's kind of hard to Sybil because you need to create a new Twitter, which then needs to connect to a different Discord, and you can basically set it to be pretty difficult. And so, what we're trying to do, like life with Wonderverse, is being able to have actionable insights into, how to engage with your community, what they care about, and then continually create these engagements with them. And then for ecosystems, we do work with the sort of like layer one chains. Some of them, that we will be working with, kind of like the Sky Mavises, the sort of like L1 chains. We do tracking and measurement across all projects building natively on the chain. So let's say you have games which are on your chain, we can help track like their Discord activity, which on-chain interactions like swap, bridges, staking, etc., are actually happening. Like how much of that happening? I think for L1s, they're really concerned with the metrics and the data. So that's the kind of thing that we help provide. And so setting up a quest is usually super simple. Like we have a bunch of different templates you can choose from. And then you can kind of customize, make it like time bound, making sure that like you can give out specific rewards after it. And then you can also gate things so that only people with a specific role can do them, or maybe you can only do it after they've completed another thing. And then you just publish the quest to a server, and then you can just see it immediately. So we make that process super simple. And then if we go to the next slide.
Question. How
Yeah.
many quests does a brand or project on average have in their community? Can we talk about like go to that strategy level? Is it on average three quests? Is there a right mix? Is there kind of an upper bound, a lower bound? What does that questing structure kind of look like?
Yeah, so the journey we like to set is usually, which is funny because one page, the maximum that they can have is actually 10 quests. So we suggest people start off there. But obviously some people want to construct like a really big journey because as people get more and more points, they're like, oh, you've done everything, we need to create more. That's kind of how we see it, is like, you should create 5 to 10 so that people like have things to do and they can like consistently engage. And then once people are like, oh wait, we've done everything, like what else is there, you can kind of like start adding to those things as well.
What's the most quests someone, a company, product, brand has created in your
at one time?
Yeah, just active? like live. There's this many active quests that can be done by the community. What's the biggest number?
Yeah, we've definitely had like 30.
30.
That's probably the max. Cool. And then at that point, you just like, there's just an endless amount of things to do. And so on the member side, they select a quest, and that creates a private thread where they can then go through the steps, and then they basically get rewarded. Either it's like a Discord role, or it can be tokens, NFTs. They can mint a community badge, which we create for our customers. And then obviously we provide analytics on which quests do the best. And then the monetization part is basically like if you sell any type of merch, like we can help drive purchases them because people redeem points for discounts. You can then go to the shop, they'll buy things, etc., etc.
Awesome.
And then this is an example of how we basically our customers have used Wonderverse. So as I mentioned, API, they have this community store. They have sort of on-chain in-game engagements that we help verify. And then with Consensus, we actually help build their ambassador and fellowship programs. So they create like these competitions every week for their I think fellows, like builder fellows, to actually like reach. So if they like reach specific metrics, they earn points, they get rewarded, things like that. And then with Demo, which is like one of the bigger like decentralized physical DPIN, I think, companies, we help them do onboarding. We help them do sort of like conditional Discord rewards based on like, what their members are interested in.
Awesome. And I think this might be our last slide before we get into the Feastables deck. We love a good pricing slide. I'm just going to go ahead and say right off the bat, this is great that you can get started for free. And then there's these like lower tier price points. And then, like you said, enterprise sort of level where it's just like, what can we dream up together and go off and build, right?
Exactly. That's kind of the idea. Usually, we do have trials as well. So for people who have 1,000 members or more, we do recommend they start off with the premium trial or just like test it out. And then with the enterprise sort of integrations, usually depending on the scope, that's usually going to be taking up some engineering time. And so those are usually $500, $1,000 monthly. And then we do offer another tier, which is just full scale management, which is like, some community management, but more just like how do we help create quests for you and then drive growth. And actually, whenever we need like community management, that's when we usually go to CoUnity and we're like, hey, we need some help here. So yeah, that's kind of like the different pricing that we have.
Awesome.
I love
oh, sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna like jump in and say, I love the aspect with using Wonderverse for some of our clients and together, just the functionality of how you can customize it in different ways. You mentioned the questing on the onboarding and to give access to the whole channel, but like to the whole server. But another thing, what we're using recently is just trying to make one specific channel where more kind of, educated members hang out. And so there's different quests to unlock different sections of a server. And so just this ability to be able to kind of customize your own experience. And you guys as well mentioned to us too, that with more of your enterprise plans, you guys can almost hook into any API that kind of exists and utilize that for rewards, which I think is huge because you guys have a team of like engineers and everything as well. So that if someone's got certain actions happening within a game, within their ecosystem that you can latch onto with the API, you can wrap that into the quest, which I think is really cool. I just wanted to highlight that for you guys too.
Thank you so much. That's very kind. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dan. Okay, we got about 5 minutes, so let's dig into this. I'm excited. Give us the TLDR, and then let's jump into it.
Yeah, so the TLDR of drops is this is a deck that we got connected with Mr. Beast team, and there's something that a deck that we created for them. Yeah, the idea is that we want to create these gamified giveaways or contests around. It could be a brand launch, it could be a product launch, or it could just be like, hey, we want to drive growth to particular channels. But there are essentially 3 levers that we are obviously trying to grow engagement to, which is 1, obviously purchases. So for games, it would be like gameplay or game downloads. For software, it basically be like some sort of purchasing of a plan or just general usage. And then B is like referrals. So driving referral mechanics, like how do you make sure that people who are doing the referring and the person getting referred get rewarded. And then the third is like UGC, which we are very excited about. It's like, how do we reward people for creating not just content, but like good content around a brand and different games?
That's huge.
And obviously,
I love that. How do you create good content? Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe not. Sometimes not good, but it's like at least that from the metrics, it's like engaging because good is subjective.
Totally.
But and yeah, the idea is that the more you do those things, the more points you get, and then you surface on the leaderboard, and the top X number of people basically get some sort of reward, whether it's like a whitelist or special merch, or let's say like Mr. Beast loves giving like free supplies of like Feastables or whatever. And so thinking up these like creative rewards that we can help give away. And then we go to the next slide. The idea is, one of the driving things like referrals. So if you drive referrals for a purchase or some usage, then obviously both the person getting invited and the person inviting get more points, surface higher on the leaderboard, things like that. And then this creates this sort of positive feedback loop, right? And then the final piece is like the UGC part, which basically, if you create content on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter, and the more likes, comments, and impressions that you get, the more points you earn, and so the higher you surface on the leaderboard. And the idea here is obviously that we want people to make content that goes viral, and obviously this also makes it easier for people who have some influence, of course, to do better. But you can also like create, 10 videos and maybe one of them pops off and you're like, oh cool, like, I now suddenly am eligible for like this reward. So that's a lot of what this product is going to do, is just like have those three things as growth levers.
I love it. I love how focused that is on a use case around both community as well as tying it back into the actual product itself and helping build the brand. So this has been awesome. We covered a lot. Thank you for sharing your platform with us and all of these insights. Congratulations for also being the first guinea pig in our live demo series. So I want to thank you very much. For everybody else that attended and is hanging out, we're now going to jump over into our Discord for a little community networking. And we'll be back next week to look at Holder, another amazing platform building some really cool stuff in Web3. So without further ado, thank you. Please, everybody, go check out Wonderverse and enjoy it out there, everybody. Enjoy.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for the time.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.